How can you avoid being scammed? Now, scam is a relatively new word, and it just means swindled. In other words, people take your money, not violently. Maybe I'll talk about that someday. Somebody holds a gun or a knife to you, but I'm talking about a non-violent taking of your assets or your money. So here's my first story. About 20 years ago, long before the Nigerian scam was well known, a friend of mine, a good friend, says, Bill, I'm going to make several $1,000,000 in the next couple of weeks. I said, yeah, right, sure. He sold ceramics and books. He ain't going to make a couple $1,000,000 in the next 2 weeks. All right. I said, well, how are you going to do that? Let's call him John. How are you going to do that, John? He says, well, I got this letter in the mail that somebody in Africa, I think it's Nigeria, they won the lottery. And they have $500 million in winnings in Europe. But they say, this guy who wrote me says, I got your name and address as a reliable guy from a source, one of your best friends. And he said, did you tell him about me? I said, nah. He's from Nigeria, right? Yeah, he says, right, Nigeria. I said, well, the Nigerians, they're nice people, but they're not the most honest in the world. And if you got an anonymous letter about how you're going to make millions in a few days without doing any work, well, tell me the story. So he says, well, it's very simple. The guy won the lottery. He has $500 million waiting in Europe, but he doesn't want to have it sent to um, Nigeria because they'll take more than half in taxes. I said, oh, that's a good story, yeah. So what does he want from you? He says, well, all I have to do is give him my name, my well, he knows my name, my bank account number, and a blank sheet of paper with my signature on it. It seems like a very reasonable request. And so he said, I'm going to do that. He says, and I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to have $1,000,000 in a couple of weeks because that's my share. He wants to put that money in my account, see? And I give him all his winnings in cash when he comes here. This is before money laundering and all that. I'm going to give him his cash, and he's going to give me $2,000,000 in cash, so I won't have to pay taxes on it. Oh, I said, well, that really sounds like a good deal. And all you have to do is give him a blank sheet of paper and your bank account number. Very good. I said, you know what's going to happen? He says, no, what? I said, well, he's going to write a letter to your bank on that sheet of paper with your signature saying, please transfer all my money in this account to Mr. Okanobi Kachobi and whatever the guy's name was in Africa. And then you'll be broke. He says, that's what's really going to happen? He says, you're dashing my hopes. You know what? I'm going to open a small bank account today, and I'm going to give him that number and that signature. And so if he isn't on the level, all he'll get is $100. I said, okay, you do it. And I'll bet you $5 that your bank account will be emptied. Well, do you think I won that $5? Shall I wait till the end of this video to tell you? No, I'll tell you right now. I won my $5 because he sent the basically the blank sheet with his signature and his account number. And by the way, the banks are more careful now. But in those days, the bank issued the money to his cohort in London, and the account was depleted, and that was the end of my first scam story in recent years. Well, 20 years ago. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to give you some basic rules. First of all, never tell anyone that you are a rich person or that you have secret assets, whether it's bank accounts or cash or stock or Real estate you can't avoid sometimes because everybody knows that you own a certain building. All right, but be low profile like me. Yeah, look at, well, I'm not wearing anything special, just an old shirt. But don't dress up with Rolex watches. Here, you can see what I got, a $10, 10-year-old Casio. Good watch, by the way. It shows the time. Well, I don't want to. I don't want to go on tangents like I always do. Okay, so keep your wealth and your assets to yourself. Don't tell anybody else about them. Okay. Next, if you're contacted by somebody who wants you to invest in their gold mine or lottery winnings or anything else, if it's a person you don't know and they are referred to you by somebody you do know, get in touch with that referral person and ask them. Usually you'll find that the name they made up, it's a made up name. Oh, I referred by Harry and Sam, because everybody knows a Harry and Sam. But the guy will probably, your friend Harry and Sam will say, I never heard of this guy. But anyway, rule one, ascertain the legitimacy of the person making you an offer that's too good to be true. Or even if it isn't too good to be true, don't deal with anybody that you don't know. They say you shouldn't wrestle with pigs because you'll get dirty. Well, remember, the pigs, they don't mind getting dirty. So if you wrestle with a pig, they get dirty and you get dirty. Okay. So then guess what? Everybody who's scammed, just about everybody, is greedy. And by greed, they offer you something that is really good. It may be a prize or a easy loan, anything that doesn't sound right, probably isn't right. Now, I had a ex-girlfriend who was contacted by an outfit that said they placed machines that would sell gold, that would change money, that would start a credit card. Well, anyway, basically an ATM machines. And they showed her pictures of the ATM machines and said, if you get your friends to invest 10,000 each, we give you 2,000 of that money, and they get 14% a year. Well, being a somewhat greedy person, she told all her friends about this scheme to invest in ATM machines that are placed in all shopping centers and everywhere else. And for every 10,000 you bring in, you get two, and your friends will get 14% a year. Well, if you're not entirely stupid, you ask yourself, if they can afford to pay 20% and then pay another 14%, that means they're paying out, oh, I won't give you an exact figure because I'm bad at math, but it means that their ATM machine business must be making 25 to 35% a year. And if they've got such a good business, they could get a bank loan for 6%. They don't have to pay out 20 or 30%. Got it? So in other words, think. Does the deal that you're being offered sound rational? I've had the similar deal in sewing machines. An outfit said they sold a lot of sewing machines and they need financing. No. They don't have to pay out huge amounts, 20, 30% a year, if they got a real going business. There's other ways to make money, even going public on an exchange. So, okay, the second rule, if it sounds too good to be true, it isn't true. Now, I said keep your assets confidential, low profile, but also be aware that your personal information could be used against you. So that a lot of times a scammer will under some pretext, say, well, we need your social security number, your birth date, your mother's maiden name, all that kind of stuff. Now, then they can steal your identity, and with that, maybe get credit cards. And then you wake up one morning and you get done for all kinds of bills because someone who pretended they were you used your name and good credit if you have it to borrow money, to get credit cards. So be very aware that you should not give any information about yourself unless you're absolutely sure you're dealing with a legitimate bank. Next, counterfeit merchandise. That's a big business. And if you're dealing with an African on the street who is selling you Gucci bags and good stuff, and you know it's fake, and you look it over pretty well. I bought a Rolex watch for $5 once. Rolex, yeah. It turned green after a few months, but so what? For $5, I can have a Rolex watch. Well, okay, so don't watch out for stolen. That's stolen merchandise too, but uh, but watch out for fake stuff. Not only that, so a friend of mine went into a Hermes store with a fake Hermes bag, and they confiscated it. Okay, charity frauds. Uh, Many people say they're collecting for charity, but the truth is they're collecting for their own pocket. So don't give money to a registered charity unless you've investigated the situation and found out that they're legit. Okay. Uh, I think this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to go with one that's very popular now and then talk about cryptocurrency scams in another video. But the one that's very common these days, brand new scheme, is you get a call from somebody who says they're a lawyer, and they somehow found out your name of your uh, son or your cousin or somebody that you like, and they say, "Oh, he's in jail and he needs bail money," and the bail money is not small; it'll be like $5,000, and you'd be why if they can make 10 pitches and one person falls for it, that's pretty good earnings per day, 5,000. So anyway, watch out for anyone who asks you for money who you don't know very well, and just don't ever give money for because of your asked for by someone online. Okay, those schemes are called the grandparent scams because they usually target the elderly who are, they're still living in the old times when they only have a wall phone. They don't even have a portable phone, but they get a call and they're very convinced that it's a legitimate call, and somebody will come over to escort them to the bank so they can withdraw the money, and your make believe relative is in going to get released from jail, or maybe it's a medical bill. But anyway, that's the type of scam that's involved. Now, with that, we're going to close, and I'm going to give you another one tomorrow about cryptocurrency. Okay, I hope you liked this video. It took a lot of work to put it together, so I want you to like it, subscribe, tell your friends about it, share, and comment. I love your comments, and I'll answer every single one of them. And beside that, I'll see you tomorrow because I'm going to have another exciting video for you. Boy, is it going to be good.